Okay, guys, welcome back again to our another podcast on our show. Again, very, very grateful and thankful here today to be welcomed by Adrian Webster, a man who's kind of very close to my heart and someone who's kind of been a massive influence in my career, both home and abroad, in terms of Colchester United, where I was scouted as a kid, as a young boy, and obviously coming out to the States, where Adrian had already played for Seattle Saunders in the MLS. So, Adrian, great to have you on the call, man. Again, if we can just start with you, Ad. I want to kind of give you the floor as much as possible, really, and allow you to really give your fantastic insight to everyone listening, kind of both home and abroad, and allow yourself to kind of give your view on the game, because, again, I know you've got a lot of fantastic views. If you could just start by introducing yourself, first of all, and just giving a brief background information into your football, soccer story, and kind of what you've done in the game, mate, if that's possible, please.
Yeah, hi, Maddie. I'm really pleased that you've given me the opportunity. It's great to talk to you. And as we were talking a little bit earlier, I'm sorry I left you out of the book, mate, but I didn't want you to sort of take the limelight, So, yes, anyway, yeah, my name's Adrian Webster. I'm a former professional footballer, soccer player, coach, manager, and was involved in the game for a little over 50 years. I'm originally from Colchester in England, but also spent a lot of time in Canada and America. At 16, I signed as an apprentice professional for my hometown club, Colchester. And at 18, I signed pro. From Colchester, I went to Hillingdon, a semi-pro club. After getting to the final of the FA Trophy, I was recruited by a former teammate at Colchester, Bobby Cram, and went to play for the Vancouver Spartans. From Vancouver, it was 6 seasons for the Seattle Sounders in the North American Soccer League, and 4 seasons in the MISL for Pittsburgh and Phoenix. My introduction to coaching professionally came when I took over as head coach of the Phoenix Inferno, when I tore my hamstring and was going to be out for 3 weeks. There were 13 games left, and we won 11 and made the playoffs. We went out to the eventual winners, the New York Arrows.
Could be worse, mate.
Yeah, the next season though, mate, it didn't start well, and I got the sack. From there, I took over as manager of an indoor soccer facility in Phoenix and was there for 5 years. I took it from, I think there was about 175 teams when I took over, and we went to 156 teams that played. It was a 7-day-a-week job, basically. During my time there, I managed and coached Soco, which was a local men's team, and I coached them both in the indoor and outdoor. And we had a successful couple of 2 or 3 seasons, and the team was basically made up of ex-pros that were coming to, or young players locally that were wanting to get their foot in the door, and thought, through my involvement at the pro level might be able to help. So I really enjoyed that, and it was a great experience for me.
Fantastic.
While working at the indoor, it also opened up some other channels for me. During my time there, I started the Arizona women's select team, and then became the Region 4 women's coach. And 6 of the women from that program were selected by, I think his name was Anson Durant. He was heavily involved in the women's program there. He was the US national team coach. And as I said, 4 of the women from my team were selected to the first women's national team that went over to China and won the World Cup there. Jeez. So that was tremendous, and in fact, I'm still in touch with 1 or 2 of the ladies that played. I think the one, although I didn't have a real lot to do with her progress, but her name Michelle Akers. I think she's very well known in the women's program over there. At the end of my time at working at it was called the Phoenix Sports Centre. Initially, it was called the Warble Palace, the indoor facility. And a couple of years into managing it, we changed it to the Phoenix Sports Centre. And whilst I was there, I was asked to start a college program over at Scottsdale Community College, which I did, and I ran that program for 3 years. While I was at the college, I was introduced to a gentleman named Tony Koleski, who was a property developer, and through his daughter, or his daughter's interest in soccer, he approached me about starting a professional team in Phoenix. So what we did, Matty, is we contacted the Western Soccer League.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, the NASL was in decline. The MISL was going under as well. So the major league at that particular time was the Western Soccer League, and we played in that for about 2 seasons. But unfortunately, through Tony's business, and it's right at that time, I think it was 1991. There was a big recession going on in the States, and unfortunately, due to that recession, Tony had to pull the plug on it. Mm-hmm. But from my point of view, I was extremely happy what we had done, because what we were able to accomplish there, Matty, we did it with all local boys. Yeah. No foreign players coming over, and they were all boys that had either grown up in Phoenix or the state of Arizona. And although we didn't do particularly well, I could see the progress through the first year. In the second year, they looked much stronger, and to be fair, the 2 seasons, what it did was it gave some of the boys an opportunity. I don't know whether you're familiar with a young player, Mark Curlin, who had a very good career in the Major Indoor Soccer League, and he was one of the boys that we brought through in that program. So, obviously that was tremendous. But unfortunately, as I said, that folded, and at that particular time, as I've already said, the NASL, the MISL were both going under, and I hadn't done anything else other than either played or coached football. So for me to stay involved, I thought perhaps the best thing to probably do would be to go back to England. So just before I went back, I called a friend of mine, Bobby Howe, who was ex-West Ham, played with Harry Redknapp, Bobby Moore, and so forth. You might know the name. He was very big over there in coach development. So I contacted him, and I went and did my B licence. So I felt going back, I was, much better prepared in going home. I know I'd probably been over almost 20 years, so, but going back, I'd always sort of stayed in touch with people that were involved in football, people like Mickey Cook, Steve Foley, and so forth, names that would be familiar to you, Matty. But that was what I decided to do, was to go back and see if I could get back involved in England. So this was in November 1991. I returned to my hometown, Colchester, and 4 days later I celebrated my 40th birthday. had to get that out of the way. But, I didn't have a job to go back to, but within a month of being back, I took over as manager of Brighton, a senior men's team who played in the Juicer League. At the time, they were bottom of the league, and so there was nowhere. It wasn't like I could go any further down. So,
always up.
Yeah, exactly, and. We seemed to turn that around, and we ended up finishing third from bottom. So, and this was like just round about Christmas time. So we were just over halfway into the league play. During my time at Brighton Sea, through a good friend of mine who I just mentioned, Steve Foley, who was the youth team coach at Colchester United. I don't know whether you would remember Steve. I
worked with him at Needham age, yeah, actually. I mean, I was familiar with him. Obviously, you told me about him loads. I never actually played with him at Colchester because, he was a little bit before my time. But I actually had the pleasure of him at Needham Market. And again, another guy who was just full of insight and knowledge and just made the game so simple and so insightful like yourself. And, really, really great coach is Steve.
Yeah, well, we played together in the U team, and now we're talking, 20 years on, and he was now the coach. And I went to him with a couple of ideas that I and that was the first one was to start a summer camp. So at the time I was still working with Brighton, so it afforded me the time to get involved there, and we held one, and this was I think it was the summer of '93, and it went really well. We attracted 110 kids, and at the time the manager was Roy McDonough, and I got Roy to get the players involved, and they did the coaching based on what I set up, and it was very successful, and some good kids came through. Unfortunately, at Brighton, I wasn't able to agree terms with them. It wasn't that I was asking, for a big increase in my salary by any means, but I'd gone in, done a fairly decent job, and I'd starting to, get a bit of a reputation. So I was offered the Helsted job, so I decided to go over there. Unfortunately, what I didn't know at the time, and the chairman neglected to tell me, because they were in the same league as Brighton Sea, but they were always in the top three and that. But when I went, half of the players had left.
Welcome to the job.
Yeah. And it wasn't until I went over to do the pre-season that I realised this, and we didn't get off to a great start. And to be honest, I just said to the chairman, look, I don't think you were really, fair with me, and I've got this opportunity at Colchester United because of the success of the first camp, they wanted to do another one. So I left Helsted and concentrated my efforts on organising another summer camp over at Essex University. And so we did, and this time we attracted 100, I think our capacity was 120, but the number of facilities that were made available. So we went from 110 up to 120 kids, and again, once again it sold out, and I think the kids really loved it. Roy was great, got the players involved again, so there was that, and all the time it was building my links back at the club, where this is the club that I'd started as a young player. As I said, I went there as an apprentice, at 18 signed pro. Things didn't particularly go well for me there. I'm sure during your time, Matty, you run into, and having been a regular in the youth team and the reserves at 15 and a half, I felt that, I was moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, when I left school to join, the manager at the time, Neil Franklin, ex-Stoke in England, he got the sack, and Dick Graham came in, and unfortunately my face didn't seem to fit. So, but those are things that happen in your career, and for me, it's always about how you handle things. So, going back to my time there at Colchester United, and I worked with, as you know, within the youth development for 13 years, and it was mostly on the youth side of it. I was the soccer centre manager. Once again, through Steve and Mickey Cook coming in, we put in a soccer centre behind one of the main stands at the ground, which was basically a 5-a-side, 6-a-side AstroTurf with the lights. And I did that for 4 years. And
that's where I started, That's where I actually started. On a Friday night, I was, 5 or 6, and I'd go down there every Friday. And I used to love it. Like, it was just brilliant. So simple way, a little tiny AstroTurf, which, maybe for the likes of, the riches of football nowadays wouldn't be seen as anything. But, I mean, for kind of any top player, you start from grassroots, and that was kind of the grassroots level. It was amazing to kind of go down there and play, and obviously to get into find out that's you who set it up is amazing, really, mate.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Matty. And my philosophy then was, just before I came back, I got very involved in another player had played. You probably know the name. He played for Chelsea in Scotland, and he played also in the NASL and so forth. And then he became a sales rep at Nike in Portland. A guy called Charlie Cook.
Okay.
And he got me involved a little bit, and I really got into the Cova method of coaching, because it was all about the ball. And through coming to my sessions and so forth. So Yeah, as I said, I was back at Colchester for 13 years. I was the soccer centre manager, recruiting officer, centre of excellence manager, and my last position there was youth development officer. I thoroughly enjoyed my time back at the club, and during my time there, I can remember, I think there was about 14 players that went on to sign pro. So, that was really rewarding, and there was lots of other players, Matty, like yourself. At 10 years old, I remember watching you play, and I made a comparison. I don't know whether I ever said it to you, but you reminded me so much of Kevin Beattie, who went on to have a great career, and unfortunately, I know a little bit, about what happened with yourself. You got the injury and so forth, and change of management, and basically similar to my start of my career. But I really enjoyed my time back there, and the downside of it was like a 7-day-a-week job, and I was now early 50s, and the old soccer injuries were starting to catch up with me a little bit, and I was having a lot of problems with my back, and then ended up having surgery. But just prior to that, Mickey Cook had been released at the club and was starting another program over at Scottsdale Community College, and he asked me to go over. So after 10 years of doing my thing back at Colchester United, I decided, it was 5 days a week. It was a good standard. I'd be working with boys from 16 to 19 years old, which I love. That's the age group that I really, feel that I have got something to offer. And he asked me to go over to join him. So I went over and I worked at the Colne College for 10 years, and probably, Matt, he would have still been there, but around about just before my 65th birthday, I was diagnosed with bowel cancer, and I had surgery, but that was in October, and I went back in January, and I finished the season there. And I don't know, for some reason, I wasn't perhaps enjoying it as much as I had been. I felt the kids had changed a lot, and it's one of the things I noticed today, and their commitment and so forth. And I just thought, having got this cancer, it was a good time for me to take a step back, and gave my wife and myself a little bit of an opportunity to take a break, and we did a little bit of travelling, so I took a little bit of time out.
You deserve it, mate. Deserve it.
Yeah. So that's sort of, my build-up towards my coaching career, and I believe that you've got some other questions there.
Yes, Said, of course. I mean, obviously, just hearing the story, mate. I mean, I've had a lot of kind of good guys on the.
Number 5.
Yeah, we could race through them, and obviously we hearing about your background from Colchester and whatnot, and obviously being a Colchester boy and making it as a pro, and then kind of going into the States when it didn't happen with your knee, kind of a similar route to me really. And you were always a massive influence on me and helping me get out to the States. And then a lot of people don't kind of really realise the history of the game, both home and abroad. And someone like yourself is someone who, I mean, without you, even myself wouldn't have had a chance at Colchester United. And obviously, without that soccer centre being built, there'd have been no way that I could have even had a chance, let alone get to where I've got to with my injury, and even coming out to the States. I mean, I want to just kind of go back over it, what you've spoken about in terms of what you did at Seattle, and obviously going out and you were one of the guys who literally set up the MLS is what it is now. I mean, you could be classed as one of the founding fathers as such, whether you like it or not, as of the MLS, and you kind of put the wheels in motion to really get the level to where it's got to now. So again, I just want people to be aware of the kind of calibre of man we've got on the call, ladies and gentlemen, because Adrian Webster is a massive guy in terms of home and abroad with football and soccer. And moving kind of onto question 5, Ed, yeah, as you say, I mean, what made you kind of get into the game of football, soccer at first? I mean, again, it's very clear that you've got a love for it, and you've got a thirst for it, and you've got a hunger to really, help players and help yourself to get to the best level. What was it that really kind of made you fall in love with it at first, Aid?
Yeah, that's a good question, mate. Yeah, I think initially I knew from a very early age of being out in the backyard with my dad, and he wasn't a football player himself, but had played the game, was a goalkeeper, but he was the one that introduced me to the ball, and everything I did with him in the backyard revolved around the ball.
Yeah.
And then I think the next step from there was playing against the estate that I lived on was packed. You used to go around the fields, and they would be packed with kids out there playing 2v2 right up to 15-50.
Yeah.
15 against 15.
Yeah, yeah.
And you wouldn't go, you'd be out there from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, and you didn't go home until whoever ball it was had to leave. So, I was very fortunate in that way. My dad introduced me to that, and then, as I said, growing up on the estate where I did and playing with and against older boys, that certainly toughened me up, and I think that was the first introduction to the game, those two areas.
No, fantastic. And again, if we can just go back a little bit, I mean, obviously for people that don't know about Colchester, obviously, ourselves, we're kind of from that area and we've lived there. I mean, guys that don't know where kind of Colchester is even located on the map in the world, I mean, if you can give people a little bit of insight, just a little bit of history and geographic in terms of Colchester and obviously what the place is like.
Yeah, well, Colchester is in Essex, and it's about 50 miles from London. And initially, when I was growing up, there were a lot of like what we call council houses, estates. Uh-huh. And I grew up on Monkwick Estate, and I don't know where. Were you over at Shrub End?
That's where I went to school, mate. I was at TLA, so I was right in the heart of Monkwick. Yeah, so.
Good boy.
That's right.
Yeah, for me, as I said, that was my first introduction to playing, and I was very fortunate because I had boys around me that loved the game as well. And my first involvement was for my junior school team. And having even my first introduction, I was playing with boys that were 2 years older. So growing up on the estate and playing with boys that just became second nature. Cool. And it didn't faze me. So I feel very fortunate in that way. And once again, Matty, it's always about making comparisons. And I drive around the estate. We go up to my wife's daughters, and I go and see the grandchildren and so forth, and drive through the estate, and the fields are absolutely empty. And you go over to visit your grandkids, they're in the bedroom, on their digital gadgets and so forth. That's something that I feel very fortunate about, having grown up when I did, and that was really what made me want to become a football player, because I was always around the ball, and had friends that had the same inkling, so that was really important to me.
No, brilliant, Ed. I mean, obviously, like you touched on before, Abe, obviously when your tenure kind of ended at Colne, I mean, obviously just kind of maybe got off script a little bit and really tapping into insight. I kind of just want to speak to you about obviously the importance of actually getting outside and playing with the ball. I mean, obviously in the States, it's a different kind of game, and even back home, mate, the culture has changed. Where, as you say, I mean, it used to be all you did was go outside and play football, boys. I mean, it was a man's game, and obviously now it's kind of developed into both men's and women, which again I didn't even know you've helped set up out in the States, which is colossal, which is kind of part of the ever-changing game. Just kind of give us a bit of insight, Aid, on how important it is just to be out playing and touching the ball, and obviously it might sound very simple and very kind of basic, but if you don't play and practice, you're not going to improve, you're not going to get to that level. So just give us a bit of insight in terms of that, Aid, and how important it is to really get out touching the ball, and how often you would do it when you were young.
Yeah, to be honest, mate, in some respects I feel very fortunate, and then you might find that I might contradict myself a little bit, but when I started playing at school, we had a PE master who was an ex-pro, and he was just fantastic, a guy called Peter Hurst. Uh-huh. And as I said, I grew up with a bunch of guys that, like myself, we just wanted to play, so we always had the ball and did things with the ball. So, and with him, that was his method of coaching. We'd have a bag of balls, we'd work in partnerships and in the small groups and so on. But, from there, I then, at 14, I signed schoolboy forms for Colchester United. And a guy called John Chandler took me there, and I was the youngest one there. And I'm 14, and I'm playing against boys 16 to 18, the U team basically.
Yeah.
So I learned the physical element of that and the conditioning side of it early.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until, and I know this sounds funny, but it wasn't until I actually signed for the Seattle Sounders and played for Seattle that I really got the quality type coaching, you know, and that was through people like Jimmy Gabriel, Bobby Howe, Harry Redknapp, who had played at the highest level, played in the English First Division, and had been brought up with the ball. So, and that is where I really got into it. You know, Jimmy showed me so many different things that helped my game, and through that, because I'd always been somebody that had always kept myself fit. I like to go out and run and so forth. So that side of it, and I do think the physical element is very important, but developing that touch for the ball. And I can remember, and this goes back to probably working in the backyard with my dad. In the council house that we lived in our living room, and between the living room and my mum and dad's bedroom was a wall, brick wall.
Yeah.
And I used to just keep the ball up, but on the wall, using my right foot, left foot, you know, from side. Initially, my dad had to repair the windows a few times, but once I got in the hang of it, then I started thinking for myself, well, I can do headers off of there. I can play it off my foot, control it with my chest. So that was always about developing. And what that does, man, it helps with your coordination, balance, and it gets you using both sides of your body. So I've always been big on that. And as I said, once I got into the coaching side, which was very important in Seattle, and I'll go on to talk about it a little bit later, but that was the quality, you know. Now, being shown how to clip a ball into the front man. Like, I can remember my first few games, and I played fullback for the Sounders, I was always trying to hit that inch perfect ball, and, you know, 9 times out of 10, we had a big target man, John Rowland, 6'1".
Yeah.
He'd still having to jump 2 feet to try to get the ball under control. And what Jimmy showed me was just how to clip the ball so it puts backspin on it, so it gets the ball over the midfield, but it dies off into the front of the, you know, little things like that. Also, and the only person that I've ever really seen hit the number of quality crosses was David Beckham, and Jimmy showed me how to just, with my last touch before delivering the cross, was just to touch it inside and hit across the ball. Now, what that does is it bends it away from the goalkeeper and the defenders, and these were little things. I was 23 when I went, or 22 when I went to Seattle, so the quality of coaching I didn't get until then. The emphasis was always on the conditioning, and the game has changed over the years as well.
Of course, I mean, I think it's quite interesting to speak about it. Because someone that's kind of come from England, where, you know, someone like yourself who has gone out to different cultures and experienced different ways and different people, and you've brought it back to England. I mean, England was back in the day a case where fitness and whatnot was a massive factor, and that was a lot of training. Again, it was only until really the likes of Arsene Wenger, Jose Mourinho kind of come into England and made it more about the ball that really things started to take off. And obviously guys like yourself who'd already kind of gone out to different cultures and experienced it. And it's interesting where you speak about the need for fitness, where in the States now, I mean, that is kind of the way where you kind of go back to rec level and you go back to the grassroots, where a lot of the coaching really is just fitness, where in England now it's more about technique and more about actually developing the player. And it's just a case where guys like yourself who brought up in football, brought up in soccer, went out and even went to the likes of the States, where these big name guys are congregated at a top level, and you then took it back to England and obviously developed it in the grassroots, and now that's what kind of the US is trying to do now. And again, that's kind of what I'm doing now, and it's just so interesting, Ed, hearing about your story and hearing about how, you know, kids think about you.
Don't get me wrong, mate. I'm a firm believer in fitness. I don't care at what level you play.
Of course.
You have to have a fitness foundation.
Of course.
You know, because if you don't, then the other things become difficult. But, you know, if you combine the physical element with the technical element and good technique, and even in today, I look at the Premier League and so many players, even Ryan Giggs, who I thought was a tremendous player, put it on his right side, he didn't have the same quality. These players have the time, they have the resources, are certainly making enough money that they can be out there and working on different aspects of their game. So I am a firm believer there are many components of soccer, and but the first one I think is the conditioning side of it. You must, doesn't matter what level, be in good shape, and then get to work with the ball.
I'd certainly agree. Like, obviously, that's what we can kind of touch on in a sec with, obviously, in terms of the athletic side, which is the American side. But I just think it's so interesting how, guys out here speak about them, and it is more pay to play out in the States, and people think you've got to have a massive back garden, you've got to have all the coaching expertise. Obviously, expertise help, but just having, as you said, I mean, your wall in your house, or just a fence to kind of get the ball and knock it against the wall, and the fact you kind of coached yourself as a player. I mean, there's so much being said for having a good coach and the importance of a coach with that insight, because obviously you do the best you can do to know better. Once you know better, you can do better. Having that kind of coaching mindset and that help from a coach helps you. But as a player, it's so important to go out and literally teach yourself and learn how to kind of handle the ball and master it. And even having something as simple as a wall against your house, which everyone tends to have, or a garden fence, is what can really help you and make you become a top level footballer from the ground up, really, Adrian.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm a firm believer in. I think you get out of it what you put into it, and initially it was all about developing my own personal skills, and then as you get into the game, you realise that it's about maybe a partnership, the two centre backs, the two guys up front, and then you play within a unit, and then so. It is a progressive pattern, and coaching cannot just be done on an individual or a partnership, or you have to bring the whole picture together.
No, I totally agree. And obviously, just tapping into your insight more, Ed, obviously it's been made very clear that you've had such an array of experiences around the world and what you've picked up. I mean, just tell us the difference between kind of coming from Colchester and playing at Colchester as a kid and going into the pro game, and then coming out to the States and experiencing that culture and that whole way. I mean, you've touched on it a little bit, and then kind of going back to England and bringing it back. I mean, what was it like, Ed, as a young 22, 23-year-old, or even as a kid, progressing through the stages at Colchester and then going out to the States and experiencing that and coming back culturally? What was it like as a whole culture? Because obviously there's guys that are going to be coming from the States out to Europe, and obviously they want to kind of find out what it's like, and they want to go over there and hit the ground running, and obviously vice versa, where there's guys from Europe coming out to the States and want to know what it's like. Just culturally, I mean, what kind of things did you kind of notice that were different or similar culturally as someone that's kind of been there and done it all?
Yeah. Well, for me, Matty, it certainly was an education, and although I was only at Colchester as a year as a pro, don't get me wrong, it was a great experience. As I said to you, I was playing regular in the youth team at 15 and in the reserves, who played in the London midweek league. Teams like Arsenal, Tottenham and all those were playing in there. So, and I was playing, because at that time, you only had one sub, so that was obviously a big difference. So your playing time, you knew that if you were selected, you were going to at least get 90 minutes. And playing with some of the players that I did, and I was very fortunate at Colchester United to play with some top players, but unfortunately, as I said, I wasn't flavour of the month with the manager, and I think one of the things with my career, and I'm not sat here saying that I had a Jimmy Greaves or a Colne or a Pele reputation or anything, but for me it was always a learning curve. And when I left Colchester, I had a short stay at Hillingdon, and we were fortunate to get to the final of the FA Vase. Unfortunately, on the day I was on the bench. I was the 13th man. And also at 19 you get a little bit frustrated. You don't deal with things as I would do today. Probably have been a bit more patient, and I started to question myself, well, is this really what I want to do? And so I took it. So from Hillingdon I came back to Colchester, and I took a little time away from it, and it was a friend of mine, I don't know whether you remember him, Twiggy Partner, got me back playing again, and I got my appetite back.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what level you play, you need to have that little bit of luck as well.
Of course.
And at that particular time, I just got back in playing, and a guy at Colchester United, who was the captain, Bobby Graham, coming towards the end of his career, he got the job over in Vancouver. And he said, look, why don't you come over and play, for us for the season? Because during that period of time, I also had a chance to go to Bournemouth. A guy called Webster, who was a youth team coach at Ipswich, had gone to Bournemouth as John Bond's number 2, and said, look, go over to Vancouver, come back, and we'll get you a trial at Bournemouth. So, anyways, I went to Vancouver, and straight away, because the quality wasn't like back home.
Of course, yeah.
Relatively new. We're talking 1972 when I went over. But the enthusiasm, the facilities, and everything else, and I knew that it wouldn't be long before the Canadian American, would really, start to take this game in a different direction.
Of course.
And like most things that they do over in the States, if they want to do it, they're going to do it right.
True, right. So,
it was a part-time league, and so we trained a couple of nights a week and played on Sunday afternoons. And during my time of playing with the Vancouver Spartans, where Bobby was the head coach, we got to the final of the, I think it was the BC Cup they called it, and a lot of players playing in that particular league up in Vancouver. You might know the Lenarduzzi brothers and Wilson, that went on to have very good careers in the NASL. But anyways, on that particular day, unknown to me, there was a guy come down to take a look. And I think initially he'd come down to look at some young Canadian boys that were starting to make a name for themselves. And on that day, which was the final, I had a particularly good game. And also around about that time, Vancouver had announced that they had gotten a franchise in the North American Soccer League. So I was asked from playing for Vancouver to try out with the Vancouver Whitecaps. So anyways, on this particular day, after the game, celebrations, the gentleman came over. His name was John Best. He started his career at Liverpool and then was with Premier, and he offered me a contract to go to play for Seattle Sounders in the North American Soccer League. And I was in sort of 2 months because I'd now been in Vancouver 2 years. I just got married, had a little one, and but the first year, the Whitecaps were only going to be part-time, and that I thought, no, I'm going to go through that again. And John assured me, he said, no, we're definitely going to go full-time. He says, I'm bringing Jimmy Gabriel over, who's going to be the player coach, and straight away I knew Jimmy was. He played for Everton, Southampton and Scotland, and that made up my mind. So I ended up in 1974 going to play for Seattle Sounders in the North American Soccer League.
Nice, fantastic. Obviously, I want to kind of tap into that now, Ed. Obviously, in terms of Seattle Sounders and what that was like, and obviously your insight there, and obviously talk about Mr. Best, who had a great influence in your career, and obviously you networked massively, Ed. I mean, nowadays you've got all this information at your fingertips with Google and online where you can kind of reach out to coaches, but I mean, back in the day it wasn't as easy, and to still be using the old principles as such of networking, obviously who you know and what you know and getting yourself about is massive. I want to just talk about now your time at Seattle Sounders in the States, and again we'll just kind of start with some big names that you faced there, because obviously I know that you played against Georgie Best, who, if people aren't familiar with him, he's a colossal footballer, again a guy that literally revolutionised the game as a Northern Irishman, and even, as you mentioned before, the great man himself, Pele. I know that you faced Pele as well, Adrian, so if you can kind of just, feel free to take the floor in terms of Seattle Sounders and what that was like, and obviously how you grew it there, and what was it like to face the likes of George Best and Pele, and how you found that.
Yeah, well, first of all, going to Seattle, it was a big step for me. As I said, I just started a family. We were living in Vancouver, wasn't sure, so it was a bit of an upheaval. And it was also going from semi-pro to pro. Now, I knew that fitness wouldn't be a problem for me because I'd always, kept myself in good shape. But, you know, in talking with John, he'd got many players coming over from Britain, you know, that were still playing, you know, for the likes of Dundee, Jimmy had just come from Bournemouth and so forth. So, you know, established players. And it was a big challenge for me. And so the first season or two, it was all about establishing myself. And to be honest, first game of the season was a disaster. We were away to LA, and I played centre midfield. I didn't particularly have a good game, but no better, no worse than 1 or 2 others, and we lost the first game. So anyway, go back into training on the Monday, and I could sense there was going to be 1 or 2 changes. Our home opener was against, I think it was against either Dallas or what, can't remember who it was right now, Matty, but anyway, sure enough, he left me on the bench, and I was really disappointed. And we won the home opener 4-0. I thought, and it was another lesson for me, because when I first went to Vancouver and I played for the Spartans, in my first 6 games I got 5 yellow cards, and was suspended for 6 weeks. And I think they used me as a little bit of an example, because our game was much more physical than they had, you know. So once again, a learning curve. So when I went and to Seattle, and then was not selected for the home opener, I just thought to myself, well, look, I've been there before. What I've got to do is just get my head down, work harder in training, and we'll go from there. Well, 8 games into the season, Bobby Cramer, who had also gone there to Seattle, he couldn't make one of the games. So John came to me and said, look, we're up in Vancouver for the next game. He said, I'm going to play you. I want you to play fullback for me. He said, can you handle that? I said, well, to be honest, I've played most of my career over here as central midfield, but I played a lot at fullback for Colchester. So anyways, we went there and we went up to Vancouver and we won. And from there, through the first 3 seasons, I never missed a game after that. And but I think it was twofold. Couple of early setbacks mentally toughened me up. I knew what I needed to do, and if I wanted to be a part of it. And as each year came along, I always said to myself, right, okay, you've done this. Can you take another step the following year? And fortunately, I was always able to do that. And through the first 3 seasons after that initial start, I don't think I missed a game.
No, it's brilliant, Aid. Obviously, you've always been an ever-present in terms of playing, obviously, even my life, and that mentality you've got to deal with the good and the bad, and not let it get too bad when it's bad, and not let it get too good when it's good. And that mindset you've developed, and you know, the choices you've made to really kind of be tenacious and go at it again is colossal. And again, obviously, you know, speaking to you before, I really want you now to kind of, I mean, I can tell you're itching to speak about, you know, the great Georgie Best and Pele. I mean, just tell us what they were like, Aid, as 2 individual players, again, players you've played against, and obviously what they were like as guys, and obviously people to have in the league. I mean, people say that the MLS is like a retirement league. I mean, having them kind of guys around, even at whatever age, is going to be massive, and having them in what, you know, how old was they, Aid, when they were in America, and just what were they like to face, really?
Yeah. Well, as I said, my first year there was all about establishing myself and getting into the team. But as we were getting into it, you know, you could tell that the league was starting to kick off. And it was in 1975 that Pele came over. And, man, I never thought I would get the chance to play against him. When I was up in Vancouver, and the reason I talked about the suspension, the league picked an all-star team, and unfortunately at that time I was suspended, and they brought Santos over. So I thought I'd missed my chance of having ever played against the big man. So, but fortunately, he came over in 75, and just after 2 weeks after he was there, we played them at home at Memorial Stadium, and we were fortunate. We won the game 2-0, and after the game, I was very fortunate. Barry Watling and I, we got a picture taken with him in the dressing room, and I still have it on my wall at home here. a lot of people say, well, he was towards the end of his career, but he was such an incredible player, and it goes back to, I can remember being a schoolboy and at 17 watching him play and win the World Cup, and I can remember doing a piece for social studies on Pele and the Brazilian national. So to get the opportunity and the chance to play against him, and initially he didn't have the players around him, but within a season, New York started to bring over the Beckenbauers and everybody else. So he was just such a phenomenal player. And, there'll always be comparisons made, and he would have no problem, along with George Best, playing in today's facilities, the pitches they play on, and so forth. I can remember watching my two favourite players, George Best and Pele, and once again watching George Best play in the European Cup and seeing him play against Chelsea and Chopper Harris tackling him round the waist, and he could balance and so forth. Now, George came over in the following year after Pele, and what I think happened with George was, I think he got his love of the game back. For the first 2 seasons over there, Matt, he was just incredible. And then, obviously, he got back into his, what I think dragged him down a little bit was the drinking and the women and so forth, his lifestyle. But for 2 or 3 seasons there, he was just incredible. So I got the opportunity to play against Pele 4 times. George on several occasions. In fact, we played in the 77 Soccer Bowl against New York, but going into that, the semi-final was a 2-leg affair. We started the first game in LA, and we beat them 3-1, and Jimmy gave me the job of marking Pele, and of marking George Best. And on the night, I had a really good game. I got the Man of the Match award, and for shutting him out. And then in the game at home, we beat them 1-0. So. And at that time, they were perhaps favourites to go through with New York. So that was a tremendous achievement on my part. But it was, I can remember even today saying to myself, how I used to get myself up for the game. And it was always, and I had a coach that always said it was always about you winning your personal battles out there. And even today, Matthew, I take that on board in all my coaching things. And when we go into the game, what I say is I need 7 players of you winning your individual battles, because if we've got that, then we've got a chance of winning the game. Because in the back of your mind, there's always going to be 1 or 2 that will have an off game. Yeah. That was John Best used to say, and that stuck in my mind. And that was my mentality going into games, like it was that personal challenge. Me, the little boy from Colchester, playing against Pele from Brazil. Charlie Cook, Beckenbauer, Cruyff, always players that I'd always put on a pedestal, and now I had the opportunity to play against them. And believe me, Matthew, I don't care that people say they were coming towards the end of their careers. They weren't going to come over here and make a fool of themselves. They were still top players, and it was just an incredible experience. And obviously the highlight for me was going to the 77 Soccer Bowl final. And even today people say that was one of the best finals of all time. And unfortunately, we got beat 2-1 in the final. We had a goal disallowed, perfectly good goal in my mind, and so we went in at half time 1-0 down, and the atmosphere in the dressing room, we couldn't believe that we were 1-0 down. And then second half, they obviously Tony made a big error, but having said that, he had a tremendous game and kept us in it at times. And we ended up getting beat 2-1, but this was important. There was 35,000 at the final, and it was on national TV, and it was Pele's last game as well, apart from his farewell game. But having said that, another thing from that game was they knew it was Pele's last game, but they in New York they were going to have a farewell game for him, so they brought Santos over, and which team were lucky enough to play against Santos for the warm-up game a couple of days before was the Seattle Sounders. So we played Santos from the Kingdom. I think there was 25,000 there. I think we got beat one up then, but that was the warm-up game prior to Pele playing against New York. I think he played one half for Santos and one half for Brazil. And but what a great experience that was. And then the following season, they had a kind of a testimonial. You would probably call it over here, but they recognised it as Beckenbauer Day. And this was a giant stadium in New York, and I played in front of 74,000. And it was just an incredible atmosphere, and the opportunity to play against world-class players like Beckenbauer, Niskins, Bogacevic, just a tremendous opportunity.
That's fantastic hearing you speak, Ed. I mean, it kind of put hairs in the back of your neck for me listening to you, play against the likes of Pele, Cruyff, Beckenbauer, Georgie Best, and hearing how you got, as you say, little old Adrian with that religious mindset in terms of football, in terms of soccer from England, which is the birthplace of football, soccer for those that don't know, and having that mindset, it just shows that, even if you're not considered a Georgie Best, it's two men against each other, and obviously to get man of the match, MVP as it's called in the States, against George Best just shows the kind of calibre of person and player you are and was, Ed. And obviously you're very humble in how you speak, mate, and you've kind of gone through a lot. I just want to now really tap into your insight in terms of players and parents, Ed. Obviously, as a kid growing up, you was always so good with me from the age of 7 or 8 when I first kind of really met you, and he was always great with my dad. My dad always speaks so highly and fondly of how personable you were and how easy to talk to with me. Because a lot of days, and unfortunately, people do kind of fill people's minds with a lot of fluff, as we'd say. And again, he was always very honest and very open. I just like you to kind of give players insight into what it kind of takes and kind of what advice you would give to players looking to make it. And again, parents, how parents should handle their kids and what they should do. Because obviously, there's a lot of parents who want the best for their kids. Every parent does. But the difference and the fine lines between, pushing your kid and wanting the best for your kid, but breaking your kid. Because again, kids are young, and there can be a case of they get broken and how hard it can be. So just speak about what advice you give to players, Ed, and obviously what advice you give to parents as well.
Yeah, obviously I think parents are a very important part of your development. I can only go back to, the time my dad spent with me in the backyard, and as I progressed, he would come to all of my games, but he was never one that would be shout and holler, at me or try to overpower the coach or whatever. Unfortunately, and I did see quite a bit of a change. I was fortunate enough to get into the coaching side of it more over in the States, and obviously the States are so vast, so that entailed more travelling, so therefore you needed the parents to go there. But when I got involved, I used to say to the parents, look, if you think I'm the person that you want to coach your kids, then please allow me to do it my way. If you've got any problems with what I'm doing, then you can always come and talk to me. But I don't want, and I've seen it so many times now, even the centre of excellence level that you played up, parents running up and down the sidelines, shouting out instructions and that. Now, the first thing that does is it takes the decision making away from the kid, and the biggest way of learning the game is you've got to make decisions out there.
And mistakes, yeah, of course. Yeah. And
but the way the system is today, and whether it's over in the States or here, parents do play a big part of getting the kids from A to B, and it's always about making comparisons, and there'll always be a difference in opinion and so forth. But always just try to be upfront and honest with the parents, and put the onus on them a little bit, because when I came back, for me, it was starting over again and was starting to, build a bit of a reputation. People had known that so to be honest, I didn't have to deal with it too much, but there'll always be at the end of the season when you have to make decisions, as you may, fall out of favour of one or two, but I think as long as you're kind of honest and it's like anything in life. You're not always going to make the right decisions, and you do make mistakes. And unfortunately, during my time, I was the only boy from my age group that signed as an apprentice, whereas now within the School of Excellences and the programs that they run over in the States, you'll get boys that will go in there, as many as 10 or so a season, and the other thing that I didn't have to deal with as a young player was the different age groups, it was that situation. If you were good enough, you played, and coaching has become a much bigger part of the young players' development. I was very fortunate to get back involved at Colchester United. When I got back in with Steve, we had under 14s, 15s, 16s, and then the youth team. When Steve Wignall came on board as the manager, it was right about the time when the league was introducing the Centre of Excellences. So then that opened up the for a lot more coaches to get involved, because we now started at under 9s and went through to under 16s. And at under 16s, you made decisions on boys of whether you were going to give them a scholarship. The one thing that I think is perhaps better now is that, and there is a lot of emphasis on the education side of it. I can remember when I signed as an apprentice, I was supposed to also go to college 2 days a week to do an electronics course. Well, that never happened because I was the only apprentice. It was an 8 to 5 job, and there's no way that I could have done that. But now, but for me, that was how the system was, and I think it made me mentally tougher. I've always tried to take any sort of adversity as a learning curve. And, I can remember my early days, I would really, bite and say things that perhaps I shouldn't do. But, hopefully over the years, you learn to control your emotions a little bit better. But kids, and parents must realise that it is a learning curve, and there are different stages that you have to go through, and it's like coaching, with a 6-year-old, you don't want to you want to make it and create a funny environment, so that that they're going to back. But at different stages, there are things that you work on, because at the end of the day, you have to remember, it is a team game. And it's like I said about the coaching, individually, partnerships, units, and then the team concept. So, once again, I like to think that I gave the parents a lot of respect as well, because being at a club like Colchester, we weren't like Premier League, and kids were getting on coaches and so forth. A lot of how we travelled was, carpools, and I'm sure that some of that still goes on today at the lower levels, but the system has changed considerably. When I was growing up as a young kid, the football development was in schools. It wasn't until I came back in 1991 that they started to play Sunday League football for the kids. And so that was where, and then, part of my position as a youth or recruitment officer at Colchester United was set up a scouting network. So we'd go out and scout players, and, like yourself, mate, coming through my soccer kids program, that was a great recruitment tool. So I like to think that, a lot of things that I did over in the States that I brought back here have been sort of instrumental in the development of a lot of young local kids.
Well, I totally agree. And obviously, that difference in kind of insight and ownership, and obviously, you're not kind of patronising parents and you're not kind of being overbearing, but you kind of can saying to them, look, obviously, I am the coach and, we're looking to kind of give you that insight, but at the same time, it's down to you to kind of go away and do it. And I think the information you've given guys are fantastic. And it's quite ironic as well, where you look at the States, and obviously, there's everywhere you go, you can pick up little things, and it's quite ironic how someone like yourself kind of come out to the States and picked up a lot, and maybe picked up things which you then took back to England to kind of grow the game. And obviously, then someone like myself who's come through your program has now gone out to the States to kind of give it back to the Americans, which kind of shows the two-way streets and the avenues. And as you say, I mean, success maybe, you have your ups and downs and that mindset, but it all kind of works itself out in the end, Ed, if you kind of keep persevering and keep learning and keep going,
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think one of my philosophies is like, obviously you have to have an understanding of the game and you have to be able to put it over. But one of the things I always prided myself on was being able to demonstrate. And, as they say, a picture paints 1,000 words.
Definitely.
And, I think when you can show and they can see, that gains a lot of respect, but there are always going to be people that have played at a higher level or whatever. So of course you have to be sensible and have an understanding of the game, and it's how you put it across. But also you want the kids to have inquiring minds as well, and then you hope that they take that away from there, and then then it becomes all about yourself. And for me, it was always, as I said, I wasn't a Pele or a George Best by any means, but I thought I had certain strengths, and I always tried to play to my strengths. And the whole, from going as a player into coaching has been a learning curve. I'm 68 years old now, and I still pick up little bits and pieces, and that I think, that's what I'd like, to do with my sessions.
No, brilliant, Ed. Obviously, again, you talk about that kind of mindset. Again, you're someone who's an inspiration to myself, and obviously even nowadays at the tender age of 68, shall we say, where you're still kind of inspiring people now on this call. And again, I just want to, kind of move on. We've spoken loads there about football, soccer, and we've covered literally all the questions we've kind of spoke about and more. Really, again, the insight's been fantastic. And I want to kind of talk about you, Ed, and obviously kind of maybe get a bit more personal in terms of your health battles and struggles which you've faced head on and overcome. And again, your books now, Ed, which you've kind of you've produced and written yourself. You've become a kind of a J.K. Rowling kind of figure with these books which you've released in terms of your soccer. So just tell the world, Ed, about these books and kind of where they can find them, and again what these books really include within them.
Well, how I got involved, Matthew, and if you saw me as a school pupil, school for me was all about playing soccer and PE. So, I struggled to put a paragraph together. But fortunately, during my playing career, I played with against some, top players, and one of the people that I played with in Seattle was Alan Hudson, the former Chelsea, Stoke and England player, and unfortunately when I came back he was involved in a very serious accident and he was in a coma for like 52 days and so forth. But I finally caught up with him again, and we got talking, and unfortunately he wasn't at a good place. I said, look, Al, he's had a few financial difficulties and so forth, and I said, why don't you do a book about your time over in America and so forth. And right at that time he then had prostate cancer, and so he said, well, when I do start, he said, would you do a couple of bits for me? So at that particular time, I was still coaching over at the college over at Colne, and I was having problems with my big toes. In fact, I'll go on to list them later, but I've got pins in both big toes. But I was just had surgery and I was off, so I started to write a few notes for to contribute to Alan's book. And the next thing I know, after 6 weeks, I had about 40 or 50 pieces. And it was a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. So there's a local guy here who was an author. So I got him involved, and he sort of put the pieces together. And next thing, we have a book, and it's called Eternal Blue, Forever Green. So that was my first book. But The thing is, mate, like, if you look at my career, it's been like a roller coaster, really. There's been lots of highs and lows, and some of them you don't have any control over. If you look at my body today, I've got pins in both my big toes. I had a bit of surgery on my knee. I've had a hip replacement. I've had 2 back operations. And more so, just recently, I had part of my bowel removed from cancer. So these are the things they don't tell you about when you put all those hours in on the training field and the wear and so forth. But yeah, but I kind of look at it, and I kind of hope in some ways that the books are an inspiration. Like, yes, and I keep saying that. No, I'm not a Pele, I'm not a Terry Venables, I'm not a Franz or any of these people. But yeah, I've been fortunate to be involved in the game for over 50 years. And for me, it was a journey. And from that first book, I then went on to I hadn't been back in Seattle in 26 years, and then I got invited to go back, which I did do, and I was awarded the Golden Scarf for my contribution for soccer in the Great Northwest, and which was a tremendous honour, and I knew I was going to be going back. And during my time of playing for Seattle, there was a young girl that used to come to the games, and at school she did a photography course. So anyway, she went on to now has got her own publishing company and so forth. So she is the one that has published my books. Mm-hmm. So very fortunate in that respect. So what we did is, before I went back, I did another book, a commemorative book of the soccer ball. And fortunately, Adrian, who is the owner of Seattle Sounders, when we went back, I was able to do a bit of a promotion and so forth, and did that, and I kind of got the bug a little bit. I was probably not involved so much physically, with the game, and I was gotten into the writing a bit. And as you say, now I've done about 6, and I've just finished another coaching book that I hope to bring out shortly. And I did another one. It's just basically about my coaching experiences that have been. When I look at it, when I started playing, I've been a player, I've been a coach, I've been a manager, I've coached youth, college, pro, women's, and so I think there are things in there that I think I have a little bit to offer. And the one thing with the career, it always, got me thinking a little bit more about the game. Whereas I don't want to seem a negative here, but I was very fortunate to play with Mike England, who was played for Tottenham and Wales, and then became the manager. Well, if you compared him to Jimmy Gabriel, there's no comparison. Mike, he's not one that had to think about the game a lot, and and then you see him get the Wales job and so forth. Well, how did Mike get that? And sorry if that's not, but because he was a great player. But I think when you've had to think about your game a little bit more, it does help if you're going to go into coaching, and that is what I always try to do. So the books are available on Amazon, and there's the first one, Eternal Blue Forever Green, the commemorative book, Circle of Life, AIDS Way, and that's my first coaching book that I did, and then I've just finished off another one that I hope will be available maybe next month.
Brilliant, AIDS. So obviously, if people want to kind of look for these books, they go on Amazon and just type in Adrian Webster, and obviously Eternal Blue, AIDS Way. They can find them by going on Amazon directly and just typing in Adrian Webster. Yeah.
If you just type in Adrian Webster books, I think they'll come up on there. And the other thing, and it's a bit of a plug, Matty, is once again, because of who I am, I never got into it thinking I'm going to make a fortune, writing books. I donate all my contributions to children with cancer. So everything I goes to help support that organisation.
No, you're a true inspiration and a top man, as I say. I mean, they don't make people like Easter anymore. And again, you're someone who's had a massive influence on my career, and even to this day, it's been honestly, it's been fantastic to get you on. Obviously, looking forward to the future now. I mean, again, obviously, you're 68. You're still only 60. I mean, we'd love to get you out to California, even just for a holiday, a vacation, unless we can kind of get it a bit more permanently. I mean, we'd love to get you out here just to kind of share your insight with other coaches and other kids in terms of back home, what it's like in England, the birthplace of football, and again, obviously in terms of experiences out here and how you set up the game, because again, without people like yourself, there would be no kind of MLS and there would be no gaming soccer in the States, which we're all kind of now loving and kind of thriving under. So we'd love to get you out here, mate. And again, I can't thank you enough. Just to kind of sign off, Ed, have you got any finishing touches you'd like to add and little points you'd like to leave us with before we end the call?
Well, I'll always have a great appreciation for my time in Vancouver and in the States. You know, it was certainly a learning curve, and it opened lots of doors for me and opportunities. You know, I feel very fortunate to have played with and against some of the greats of the game. And when I look back, and it's not until you get to this stage that you do start to look back and think that I was involved in the game for over 50 years, and it was just till recently I didn't get involved this season because I knew I was having surgery on my back as well. But prior to that, I was helping a young lad over at who I had coached at the Colne. He took over the Clacton job. So for 18 months I was back there helping him out, and I thoroughly enjoyed the working life with senior players, and I would still probably be doing it, but then again the old body doesn't hold up as well as I would like it. But yeah, I've had a couple of offers locally to get back involved, and I think that if I can get through the next couple of health issues recently, but yeah, I'd like to sort of maybe get back involved, and because at the end of the day, I enjoy it, I do miss it, and it has been my life, you know. So. It's, you know, when I can, like to doing this with you today, mate, who would have thought 20 odd years ago?
Fantastic. That's brilliant. And again, it's really been a privilege to get you on, mate. And, you know, the likes of yourself. I mean, Brian Swift, I'm going to try and get on as well to talk about his insight. And again, obviously, I know that he can talk football for days and days. Obviously, we'd love to get him on. And, you know, guys like yourself, we'd love to get you out here and love to get you, you know, meeting the kids and the parents and sharing their insight. And, Just can't thank you enough, Aid. And obviously, you know, in terms of going forward, we wish you all the best. And thank you very much for coming on the call.
And thank you. There is just one thing that I would, and this is directed to you a little bit, is to play for as long as you can, because there's nothing like that. And, you know, coaching is a great substitution. And but, you know, I feel very lucky to have you know, had the career and stayed involved in the game for as long as I did, because I've met some really top people, and feel very fortunate. And thanks for having me on.
Great insight, Ed. Thank you very much, pal. Really, really appreciate it.